I don't think I've ever had, well, unless this was true. Bitch, I don't even really know. Maybe. Outside of that, I haven't had a guy cheat on me in a serious relationship. Again, it's part of me being naive. I don't be looking for it. Like, I'm legit not looking for it. You have to go out of your way for me to find out that you cheating.
See, now with mine, I was looking for it. Because my intuition was saying something not right.
Now, going back to this situation, when I say I deaded it. Because it was more like, all right, you don't have any facts to back it up. He said no. You're going to have to squash it. Or break up with him. Like, at this point, you can't just be hanging it over his head but not moving nowhere.
Because he already gave you down.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to Lex Talk. My name is Alexis. And if you don't know, I be oversharing. Yeah, that is kind of just what I do. I started this channel to have real conversations about life, love, and relationships because I strongly believe that there is healing at the intersection of our struggles. And I remember a time years and years and years ago, my ex and I were living in Kentucky. All of our family was back home in South Florida. We were newlyweds. I was 25, fresh out of grad school, making a whopping $40,000 a year. My ex was still in his rotation year, so finishing up school. So we were poor. We were isolated. Had no friends at the time. It was really just he and I. And I was a young architect in the big city of Louisville. And I was having a quarter life crisis, y'all. I was wondering how in the actual fuck I ended up here in my life. Like what, this was never in the cards. Living in Kentucky by myself with my husband at this young, tender age. Just having all kinds of identity crisis and all the things. And I remember we were at a church that we had been trying since we had gotten there. And I went to like a ladies' Bible study night or something. And I was pretty stoked because I was desperate for new friends and connections and just people to really like do life with and share the ups and downs, especially in this time where I was like really just being hit from all sides by life. And all I can remember, I don't remember the exact conversations, but I do remember feeling alone in the midst of people. And I felt that way because, I mean, everything that I was going through, but they'd ask questions like how you're feeling or what could you use prayer for? And all the answers were like, the stereotypical blessed and highly favored, I was feeling down and, I just read my Bible and everything was rainbows and Skittles and unicorns and glitter poop. And I was utterly disgusted. I have this thing where I have a very hard time connecting with people that aren't being real with me or honest about their experiences. Not that they couldn't have been having, a fantastic day. But everybody, all the time, for real? Like it was just, and especially in a space like church where I'm expecting to be able to be at my most vulnerable, most honest. I know that it can be dangerous sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. I was just like, if we can't be open with each other in this space, which should be one of the safest, what are we doing? And I think that was one of the pivotal moments for me that I just kind of vowed to be unapologetically open and honest. I mean, in spaces that are appropriate. I guess that, I don't know, because this may not be an appropriate space. But anyways, because I know how alone I felt in that room of women that I thought that I'd be able to connect with. And, lucky for me, I knew better than to think that I was the only one feeling those types of feelings or confusion. But to be in a room of people pretending I won't say pretending, because maybe not everybody was, but to feel as though everyone else had everything together and was just, figured it out. I could have easily started to doubt everything that I was, everything that I've been through, my faith in God, my ability to handle things. I could have just thought something was severely wrong with me. And I think that a lot of times that is exactly what we think. We think that something is wrong with our personality or our friendships or our marriages or our jobs or our outlook on life, or maybe we're depressed. It's just, life is hard enough than to have to question yourself about things that you see, almost like the highlight reels of people's lives. Yeah, there's the highlight reels of Instagram, but also the highlight reels of conversation, where we hold back the things that we struggle with and only put our best foot forward, which I understand the tendency, but I also understand how that can be detrimental to others that are on this same, wheel of progress as you, that are thinking that somehow they missed the stop or missed something along the way. Anyways, that's why I have this channel, and that's why I share so much, and that's why talk in a way that others might think is crazy or dangerous. Maybe it is. But this is not at all what I came to talk to you guys about today. But, I be going on some tangents, y'all. I be going on some tangents, and I just wanted to hit that point because it's true. So what I did come here to talk about was, there was another time in my life, back in the day, how old am I? I am not that old. But back in the day, I remember thinking, I think it was I'm not going to say who, but anyways, there was a couple, and they were one of the partners. They were living in separate places. One was living with their parents and the other one was on their own, but they were in different states, and they had kind of a little bit of a long distance relationship, and they got together and got engaged at some point. And the one that was living on their own decided to relocate and move into the parents' house of the other. And I was just like, what kind of backwards ass shit is this? That don't make no sense. I would never, ever in my life, you need to, I'm the one that's got this together. You need to, this just don't make no sense. And then I remember being with my ex and getting an internship opportunity at one of my dream jobs. And it was over in London. And my ex was going through a hard time and feeling a little bit homesick and stuff like that. And this was before, we were just dating at the time. And he asked me to stay. And when I tell you, I was so embarrassed because it was so unlike me to even entertain a thought such as that over a boy, a man. I mean, he did become my husband, but I was like, because the problem is everybody that knew me, that was close to me, family, friends, like they knew how much I wanted that that internship, how much I had been working towards it, and to have finally gotten it, I was so psyched. And I told everyone, my classmates, my friends, my family. Whew, boy, oh boy. The untelling was silent as fuck. Like I was not, I was not excited to tell anybody that I had decided not to go because he needed me. And that was a moment that a light bulb went off. And I thought back to that other person's relationship that I was judging, like, what in the world? They are crazy for doing that for a boy, for a man. I don't care if it is. This person was their fiance, and I'm just dating this person. And I didn't change my whole trajectory. Yeah. So I learned, and I have had many other instances since then that reaffirmed that I will never, ever, ever say what I'll never do. Because circumstances be changing, and you'll surprise yourself with the things that you will do for someone that you love or care about. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes you are okay with it. Sometimes you're not, but you just never know. And at the end of the day, because I knew for me, it was what I felt was the right decision for me in my relationship at the time. I felt that that was the investment that was more important to me. Family was more important to me. I know we were just dating, but yeah, to me it was. The person that I share life with was more important than chasing this goal of mine. And I say all that to say, I want to talk about cheating. So this is definitely another area of my life that I said, bitch, I would never. And today I'm not so sure. And let me stop being so fucking cryptic. Would I stay with someone that cheats on me? That was, why can't I think of words? Had a moment of infidelity. In the past, this would have been a resounding hell fuck no, right? Right? Like, someone cheats on me, I'm absolutely not staying. But let me tell you about a time in my past. So it was years back. My ex and I were going through, I don't know, I would say a fragile point in our marriage. Once we relocated back to Florida, like, there was a lot of moving parts. So for one, my ex had graduated and was now in the working world for the first time. Both of us were in the work. We were basically stepping into our kind of adult lives as, you know, working professionals, living on our own, away from our parents, no longer like under the umbrella of school, that kind of safety net of school, and, you know, student loans with, you know, basically free money for a little bit, like having to work for everything that we had. And doing it together as a young married couple. And there was a lot of fluctuation just between stepping into this new season in life and also moving back home. You know, I mean, we weren't home, but we were, you know, within driving distance of our family and friends. Whereas before it was just two of us isolated in Kentucky. Now we had a lot more people that we loved and cared about that were in close proximity to us, and therefore had more of an impact on our relationship. That's one thing. When you are living away from home as a couple, there aren't any other voices to be heard, you know, which I think I don't know where I stand if it's totally good or totally bad, but I think there's a time for it for sure. Because it's nice to have a foundation based on what you two decide is right for your relationship. Because other voices tend to make things a little messy and confusing. But anyway, because of all these kind of factors, we were in a pretty fragile place in our relationship, trying to figure out what the dynamic looked like now that we were both, working professionals and living in this space and all that stuff. So just a lot of firsts. We were still very much newlyweds. But anyways, my cousin lives close to us, and I'd hang out with her, my aunt, my uncle, frequently enough. And one day I was at home, it was nighttime, we were in the bed, and I got a text from my cousin that said, "Hey, hope you're doing well. I need to talk to you about something. When you get a chance, please call me." And this was, it was surprising, but it was unordinary. It wasn't something that would happen regularly, because my cousin and I, although we had a good relationship, we weren't like besties talking about everything during the day. So for her to say something was important to talk about, I'm like, did somebody die? Like, what's happening? And so I stepped out and I gave her a call, and I stepped out of the house. We were in our apartment. I stepped out of the apartment. I don't know maybe I need to go back to the text message, but I don't know what made me step all the way outside as opposed to just like calling with him right there. But I don't know. It felt very like this was a secret that I needed to step out and have privacy to discuss, like her business. Anyways, she revealed to me that her friend said that they had slept with a man that had the same name as my ex, that worked at the same hospital as my ex, and was likely my ex. And I don't know if my first feeling was just devastation. I know for sure that my heart sank, and it was a little bit surreal. And I don't know, at that moment, I wasn't thinking, was it true? I was thinking, what do I do with this information? And I guess amid the feelings of betrayal, I was thinking I was betrayed by him. But as in relation to my cousin, though, I was grateful. I felt protected. I felt like she was looking out for me. And I think I expressed that to her. I was in shock, but I was like, I really do appreciate you telling me this. Yeah. And so, I don't know if I remember we spoke, a few minutes about this, and it was like, all right, so I can't, I remember saying something like, I can't just go back in there and, lay next to him. I got to figure out what I'm going to say, whatever. And I think she may have, encouraged me not to say anything to him directly. Like, I don't know, just to sit on the information or kind of try to figure out what's what before bringing it to him. And I remember saying, I can't do that. I can't lay next to this man that I love and pretend as though it's just another night and roll over and go to sleep. Like, I couldn't. I knew that I was like, I'm going to have to find something out, because it's coming out of my mouth tonight. It's not going to be able to be kept. And so I went to him, and I don't even remember how I asked him, but it was something just very direct, like, hey, are you cheating on me? I mean, y'all, I I'm not the type, I don't really deal with things like infidelity. I had never dealt with something like infidelity. And I'm a very trusting person for people that I'm in relationship with, not romantic only, but anybody that's close to me. If I can't trust you, I'm not being friends with you. I'm not dating you. I'm not associating with you. Like, it just, I need my relationship to be at a minimum, trusting and honest. And so all I could do was ask him straight up. And I think at some point I did let him know, my cousins told me that, this is what is the word on the street, I guess. And I'll say that at that moment, he reassured me, or did his best to, that wasn't the case, and tried to comfort me. And in that moment, I just felt like, what else now? What do I do? What else do I do? Because I have nothing to go off of, and he said no, and damn, this doesn't feel reassuring at all. And so I think I, tried to go to sleep, and he, I guess, tried to comfort me still. And the next day, I think even maybe that night I may have texted my cousin, but definitely by the next day, I'm like, all right, like, we need to get to the bottom of this. Tell your friend to tell her friend, or somebody to, like, let's meet up for lunch. Let's have a talk. Give me your number, like, anything. Let's just try to get to the bottom of this. And my cousin offered nothing. She said that the girl, the woman, didn't want to jeopardize her job. I believe that my ex was not her superior, but in some kind of way higher position, and she felt that it might, get messy and unprofessional. Now's the time for that, right? But anyways, she didn't want to be known by me. And so I'm like, hey, it is, I don't know what year it was, but it was 20 something. And I'm like, there are many ways that we can get to the bottom of this without me ever knowing who you are. I honestly do not care who you are. I just want to know if it's true. And all of the pleading, my cousin would not budge. I never got any more information than the fact that her friend said that she slept with somebody that might be my husband. And I was beyond frustrated. Forget the fact that I may or may not have been cheated on by my husband, whom I loved. But I would never know the truth. I would never know the truth. And that was something that I never imagined, of course, but in all the times that I would have thought of what I would do if I had been cheated on, I never thought of what would I do if I suspected that I had been cheated on. And that's it, that, because I felt as though I had all of the emotions of someone that had been cheated on without any of the proof. And so this is my husband. I wasn't going to walk out of a marriage based on hearsay. Like, not even my cousin's friend, but my cousin's friend's friend. Like, it was way too far removed for me to be able to stand on any of that. And so I was left with the tough task of getting over it, and not treating my husband any differently. And when I tell you that was the hardest pill to swallow, but I had no choice, because it wouldn't have been fair of me to treat him as though he had done something wrong, unless I was ready to see it through all the way, and because I had no proof, I wasn't about to see it anywhere. Not to mention the inconvenience of breaking up, of going through a divorce and all that stuff, especially when you share things together, where you live, health insurance, like all those things. And so it was definitely in this season that I came to understand exactly why a lot of women or men stay with a partner after they've been unfaithful. It's a hard thing to do, especially when they, apologize or show change behavior or show that they really, really want to make amends. It was not nearly as easy. I mean, I would like to think that if I had found out the truth and the truth was that it was true, that I would grab my shit and go. But I know the feelings that I felt in that moment, and it was more riddled with fear of the unknown. And I hate to be moved to any decision by fear. But I definitely was arrested by that feeling. Not to say that I wouldn't have been able to push through, because I often do. But it definitely would have been a struggle to get there. And it wasn't fear that I couldn't do it. It was, shit, do I really want to go through all this? Like we just moved here. We've made a life here. This is my husband. We've done all this stuff. Like my life, my trajectory, everything has been kind of changed because I decided to become his wife. And now I'm in this space that now I'm like, okay, would I even be here? How do I get out of here? What does life look like now that it is me by myself, him by himself? What do we do with where we live? There's so many things that are just flying through my head, and we didn't even have a child at the time, And so I was really humbled, because yet again, something that I thought I would never even entertain, I was sitting in and damn near paralyzed. But anyways, so because of all this that happened, I was extremely upset with my cousin. I was upset that she brought me this information and didn't help me get to a resolution, that she just dropped it off in my lap and walked away. And I felt like she had no regard for the disruption that she caused in my marriage, My ex was he was a private person already. And sharing this information, the way that he felt about, in-laws, family and stuff like that, you'd be with them. But, at the end of the day, you don't feel like they're on your team. So there can be a sense of, animosity that can be their tension. And now that there's this news that my cousin is, snitched on him, if it's true or not true, kind of sowing seeds of discord in our relationship, it was like, how could he ever feel comfortable going to their house for Thanksgiving dinner? How could I feel comfortable bringing him for Thanksgiving dinner when people are looking at us like, that kind of, your name is in their mouth kind of thing. And so I felt as though, man, how could she really care for me and do this to me? She cared enough to bring me the information, but didn't care enough to help me get to the bottom of it You know, she put her friends before me. That's what I felt. All these things, and primarily because now this is a source of tension in my marriage that was already kind of on like thin ice. Well, I won't say thin ice, but we were going through a rough patch. And so now I'm having to go through this rough patch and try to employ all the skills and things that we were trying to put in place to get to a better space. I'm trying to do that while having in the back of my mind that this dude is cheating on me or did cheat on me and is making me look stupid, is taking me for granted. And so I was pissed off to the point where I just stopped talking to her. I had to focus on, you know, strengthening my marriage and loving my husband. And I didn't have time to deal with mending my relationship with my cousin. So I just backed off. I mean, I'd see her, of course, at big events and functions and stuff like that, family functions. But I was done with her. I remember saying that to my mom. I was done with her. I was so pissed off. And so fast forward to, you know, now when that said husband has left my ass. Now it's like, well, water under the bridge. Come on, cuz. But anyways, now in this situation, I definitely was happy to be able to rekindle that relationship with my cousin, because I no longer had to worry about the tension between my ex and I, and that relationship was no longer something that I had to, you know, fight to maintain. But I did want to have that conversation with her. And so I finally did, y'all. We spoke, and I want to share some of what we talked about, just getting her reaction to the situation, you know, her perspective of things. And especially on the other side of that marriage, being able to be a little bit more objective about what went down, how it went down. Was it the right thing? Was it the wrong thing? Yeah. All right. So we're going to jump in. All right. So how did you feel when you first heard that audio? What were your thoughts on my thoughts on the situation?
So it's great to hear other people's perspectives on how they take
the situation.
Take situations.
Yeah.
Because when I heard the audio, that didn't cross my mind.
I figured that shit. It
didn't cross my mind because I thought that, well, for one, when the conversation was had, it was a third party conversation. So I was like, yeah, that's not cool. I'm gonna bring it to my cousin.
Yeah.
And then when I brought it to you, and I was just like, you know, take heed, just know, because he works at a hospital. It's 11 people there.
Yeah.
Who knows if it's this, but just put it in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so then I think it was like 2 days later when I called to check on you, and then you were kind of like, I don't have the facts, and I need more facts. I'm like, ugh, this is a sticky situation because
you can't.
These people work together.
Right.
Not even being the friend, but it's just the simple fact that these people work together.
It's professional now.
Correct. So if you were to get the facts, bring it to him, and he was to go to work, confront these people.
Messy.
It would have been a mess. You know? So that's kind of why I just was like, I just want to let you know about it, and because it could be wrong, it could be right, but just know that this is going on.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's because I hadn't dealt with cheating at that level before, and I still to this day don't know. I have my suspicions, given everything we were going through at that time and everything that's happened since. But at the time, it was like, it very well could be true. But if it is true, what do I do with it? Especially if I can't prove it, you know? So I definitely had to go through that time of trying to figure out, all right, well, what you gonna do with this information? Like, and you know, of course I did ask him directly if it was true, which he know how to lie. I mean, so I can't take that for anything.
Yeah.
All I can do is hope that he would be honest with me, or at least show some signs, and that would make it more clear to me. But it didn't give me any more comfort. It was something that I just had to get over, which I eventually did get past it. I don't think I felt any type of way about it until now. Now looking back, I'm like, that nigga, you know. But I don't know. It was definitely a real hard thing for us to get past, because it's there, and I see him in a different way now. Because I'm very, maybe it's naive, but like I am the type, like I trust everybody until you give me a reason not to.
Correct.
And then I don't fuck with you.
Correct.
Like I don't have the energy or the time to be trying to figure out whether or not you're lying. I don't. If I don't feel comfortable, then I'm just gonna exit the situation. But having to go through that and having this possibility of it being true definitely made me start to understand why other people stay when somebody does cheat, because it's like, it's a lot of work to break up, you know. We got all this, we got this, you know, house together, we got this property together, we got this, like this was even before we had a kid,
right?
But I definitely had to sit with myself and see, like, all right, are you really gonna go as hard as you thought? But I felt really like, dang, could we find some type of way? Like, I wish I didn't know if there was nothing that I could do about it, because now it's just this doubt that's just lingering over the relationship. And because he was so, like, when we would go out, like, hang out with you guys, and it's not just y'all, it's anybody in our family, the way that he was so, like, private, and I'm not a private person, as you can see. Like, and not that I'm trying to put out our business, right, but to me, especially with family or people that I'm close to, like, I'm not trying to hide things from y'all. I want y'all to, you know, help me, guide me, whatever help you guys can provide. Right. I'm gonna bring it to an elder or somebody. And he's like, no, keep our business together, which I understand both approaches. But like, being around you guys, I remember when we were at I don't know if it was Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, but we was talking about something, and the way that we were talking about, like, you know, that's just how men be. He was so offended. Like, afterwards, like, I had to, there was a whole argument after. I'm just like, but that's my family. We're just joking. We're not even. And it was a whole thing. So now, going to him, bringing him this news that I got from you, now I'm like,
gonna react.
It's more like, now that relationship is severed, now I can't bring him around y'all. And now it's like I felt like I had to choose between y'all in order to, like, save my marriage or protect my marriage. I could no longer have a relationship with y'all that included him.
Well, I will say that after I heard about the information, I didn't tell anybody, because I didn't tell anybody, because I felt like I had a conversation with you and told you, so it didn't need to go anywhere. Yeah. So when I seen you like years later, well, when my mom told me that you guys got divorced, I was like, I wonder, was this the issue, or was it the problem? I mean, so it didn't directly affect anything that happened, but at least from my end, as far as I know. Now, looking back, I'm like, oh, maybe he was, like, feeling stronger than I thought at that time. Right. So now it could have been true. Maybe he was stepping. And I have other things that make me think that maybe it was true. But again, I don't necessarily want to swear into his name, because I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But as far as I'm concerned, it didn't affect me. But again, he's the one that left me, so I can't really say what it was. Yeah. You know, like, it was definitely a fragile time in our relationship at that point, but I thought that we had gotten past that thing. But maybe we didn't, and maybe he didn't, at least. So, I mean, it could have been. It's all speculation, but, you know, it was just, I don't know. It was a shitty time. It was hard to get past, but, you know, I think that it kind of is what it is. But I always did want to have this conversation and see, like, you know, if you could do it again, would you tell me the same thing? Would you approach it differently? Like, how did you feel about bringing that information to? Because I do understand that you was like, she needs to know, and I felt that. And I was on board with that until it got to the point where I couldn't find out whether it was true or not. So I felt like I needed to bring it to you, because I told you, like, the surface of what I was told. But I didn't go in depth with it. And then it was just like things that when I would ask you where he was or what's going on with him, you'd be like, oh, he's working. Yeah. And so I'm like, wait. So when I heard the situation. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I need to let my cousin know because he's saying he's working and then he's not. So it was like, just take heed, because it could not be the same person. But just if these signs or if these things are showing, and it's true, you'll know, okay, what she said was true. Or it could be that he doesn't show that he does that type of stuff, so it's not true. We can move forward. Yeah,
that's the hard part, because both of those things could be true. Like I said, I'm very trusting, so I'm not going to ask you where you been. I'm not going to check your phone. I'm not going to smell your drawers. Like, I'm not doing none of that. If I have to do that, we got a way bigger problem. Like, this don't even need to be going nowhere. If I'm worried about where you are, because I can't be a mom and I can't put a low jack on you all the time.
Right.
So I'm not about to be stressed every day wondering what's happening in these streets or whatever. Especially with his job, he had every opportunity because he worked all these crazy hours. Allegedly. I don't know. So it's very possible.
You just can't go off of what he tells me, and then just move accordingly from that. Yeah. Like, when I first heard it, I didn't want to tell you, because I'm like, I'm just gonna stay, mind my business, and I'm not gonna tell her because I don't want to hurt her, because I knew how much in love you were with him, and I was like, I don't want to tell her. Yeah. But then I was like, when it kept bothering me, I was like, I
remember you said, I would want somebody to tell me.
Right.
And I felt that.
So that's the only reason why I did.
Yeah, I felt that. And I think it's really just no other way, I guess, it could have gone, because I would still want you to tell me. But I just want to be able to, I want to see it through. I want to talk. I really wish that the girl was, and I guess the only way that she would be comfortable is if she knew me. Because, honey, I don't want to get you fired. We don't even have to tell him. Like, I just want to know for sure if I'm going to leave a whole marriage that I'm doing it based on facts. Like, because I could have worked with her. Like, we could have done whatever we need to do. Like, honestly, he's yours, huh? Like, I'm not even looking for that, because I'm not, my issue isn't with you. My issue is with him. Regardless of whether like, girls can be in these streets, but it's up to him to protect his marriage, So I wasn't even looking at it like that. I just want to know, is it true? That's it. Like, I'm not trying to blow up her spot. I'm not trying to, slide on her. Like, I don't have that energy. That's not how I am. That's not how I roll. The only energy that I was going to be giving was to him, and it was really just to, find a way to end things. Correct. But I just really wish, I mean, even to this day, if she ever wanna, I'm happy to have that conversation. He don't work there no more. He ain't nobody. If you out there, sis, let's talk.
Let us know. Just talk.
He ain't mine no more anyway, so. But yeah, I would have loved to know. Honestly, it probably would have. The part that would have made me a little bit upset is the fact that things would have been real different in my life if I knew this then.
You probably would have been the other way around.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be stuck with him for the next 18 years. Yeah. I mean, I love my daughter, but I never wanted to bring her into a broken home like this at all. And so if I knew that he was really on this tip, I could have spared myself a whole lot of heartache. And I know that sounds wild to say from people that don't have kids, but when you have kids, you'll understand. Yeah. So, period. I'm not even going to explain it. All right, but so how did you feel about my reaction? Did any of it bother you or hurt you, or did you not even know or anything?
I didn't even know, truthfully. To be truthful, really?
I was just sad by myself.
I don't think you was sad. I was sad with you. I was sad with her. But I don't think that I took it to that extent. I just was like, I'm stuck in a hard place with you, because if I get all these people involved, how would that turn it? So at the end of the day, he's a man. Yeah, okay. That leads to the next question. So do you feel like all men cheat? What's been your experience with cheating? Have you been cheated on? I really haven't been cheated on. But I have experienced it. But it wasn't to the extent of like anything sexual. It was just conversation. Okay. And when that happened, the person I was with, they were acting kind of funny, and I was like, something ain't adding up. The math ain't math.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, my intuition is feeling something. It's telling something.
Yeah.
And so it just came out. They were talking to someone, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to continue this on, because if you even had that mind to do that,
yeah, you ain't here with me.
You ain't here with me.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had, well, unless this was true. Right? Bitch, I don't even really know. Maybe, well, yeah, maybe I'll speak on that, because outside of that, I haven't had a guy cheat on me in a serious relationship. Again, it's part of me being naive. I don't be looking for it. Like, correct. I'm legit not looking for it. You have to go out of your way for me to find out that you cheating. Cause
see, now with mine, I was looking for it. Because my intuition was saying something not right.
So did you see text messages?
Text messages, and
pretty messy.
Yeah, I seen text messages, and I was like, okay, this what we doing.
Yeah.
And I confronted the person, and they was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, yeah. No.
Okay. So now going back to this situation, when I say I deaded it, because it was more like, all right, you don't have any facts to back it up. He said no. You're going to have to squash it or break up with him. Like, at this point, you can't just be hanging it over his head but not moving nowhere.
Because he already gave you the answer.
All right, guys. Yep, you guessed it. That's all for today, folks. You're going to have to catch the rest of this conversation next week, airing Wednesday. And trust me, it gets better. It is good, y'all. So thank you so much, as always, for rocking with me, rocking with us. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel, y'all. Tell your friends about me. Check us out on all the streaming platforms. That's Anchor FM, that's Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. Wherever you look for podcasts, we're there. If you are on social media, that's Twitter, that's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Check me out. It's is_Alexis. So that's ISS_Alexis. No E, no I, double S. If that isn't confusing enough, just check the link in the description for all of my handles. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys in another episode. Bye.